with GLP-1s, which is a weight loss drug. Its origins, where it came from, what was it used for, what the ancestral diet does, right? And also hormone balancing and peptides. So we're going to talk about my experience today with this because what's up? How you guys ever? Thanks for all the hearts. Thank you. We're going to talk about my experience with this today because people always ask me, what am I taking? You know, at 53, how do you stay fit like that? And I'm going to just not gatekeep. I'm just going to tell you exactly, how I do it. And hopefully some of it rubs off on you and your life gets better for it. So let me just adjust some cameras right here because we're live in multiple different places. Okay, yeah, we're live in multiple different places. So let me just adjust this here for us. Okay, so to break things to the ridiculously simple, my journey started out with me couldn't walk for 7 months. If you follow me, you see the photos of me in 2016 where I looked like I was carved out of granite, like a piece of granite. Then I had gotten shot twice, once in each leg, spinal stenosis in my neck and my back, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk correctly for about 7 months. And a buddy of mine talked me into, hey man, how you doing? Talked me into becoming a vegan, which was the worst life decision besides getting married to my getting married was the worst thing I had ever done to that at that point, right? So um I he told me that if I became a vegan, that all of the inflammation would go down in my body. And he had become a vegan in the sincerity of his heart because the animals are not being treated well and this, that, and the third. And he just didn't think it was right. And he's just of that frame of mind. He believes that he reads the Bible and he believes Daniel was a vegan. That crew that doesn't, just takes everything literally and just molds things around what they believe is true. We all do it, okay? We all justify our own actions. Well, this guy, who is a dear friend of mine, is to the extreme. Like if he catches you wearing a fur coat, he'll throw paint on you. If you're in a grocery store and you're buying meat, he'll call you a murderer, right? Not understanding that plants feel the same way we do and animals do. I got it? Not understanding that you can't eat. Veganism is less than 100 years old, and so is vegetarianism. There were no vegetarians or vegans 100 years ago. This is a new concept. You've been lied to. And the reason why it's a new concept is because 75% of the earth, where people live on earth, if you try to be a vegan or if you try to be a vegetarian, 9 months out of the year, the ground is so hard you can't even penetrate it with a shovel. You can't grow anything, therefore you would starve to death. So logic tells us those diets only existed for people who, during great famines and during times where there was no animals to eat. So I blew up to, this is my personal experience of dieting. I blew up to a wonderful 350 pounds at 6'2" at 49 years old. So needless to say, it caused the wrong diet almost cost me my life. And that's why I want to pass this knowledge forward and not gatekeep about the ancestral diet. It's not going to cost you any money. As a matter of fact, it's going to save you money by listening to me. You're going to spend less money on groceries by listening to me right now for free. This is why people follow me. Ready? Very simple. I was 350 pounds, still couldn't walk, and I got worse and worse and worse until I made a decision through logic to say, I'm going to go back to basics. What did my ancestors eat? What did my ancestors eat? So at the time I was 52, right? Now I was 51. And I tracked my ancestral lineage back to the Vikings. Okay? And the Vikings are now known as Russians. The Vikings conquered all of Eastern Europe, all of it, right? That's why Irish people have red hair, English people have red hair, Scottish people have red hair, and on and on and on, because the Vikings conquered them, all of Europe, and then settled in Russia, and they are the Russians. That's who the Vikings became. That's why you don't see Vikings today. You do, they just renamed themselves Russians. All right. So my journey back to health started with an ancestral diet, meaning that I realized through the grace of God that my body was only designed to eat what my ancestors ate 500 years ago, which is only 10 grandmoms ago. Think about that. I realized in the 70s, there was no heavyset people compared to there is today. There was a couple, they were here and there. But they sent you to a fat farm if you were in the 70s. You were heavy. They wanted to study you and find out why. And usually it was just because you were eating the wrong things. Okay? So, by accident on purpose, the reason why there was no heavy people in the 70s was because, in fact, your grandmother taught your mother how to cook. The ethnic food, her mother taught her how to cook, and so on and so forth, back 10 generations, which is about 500 years. So you were eating only what you were designed to eat, which means that your body did not store it as fluid, inflammation. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but people died of old age until the 70s. They lived, I remember distinctly. Now, I if you follow me, you know I was a Catholic priest for a while. I went to seminary for years, along with a bunch of other things I've done. But I remember working in Catholic hospices where my stepfather had actually, I put him his last month of his life. And I remember as a child in these Catholic hospices, because when the older folks, when it was their time to transition, they would go to these Catholic hospitals. They were old. They were 80s, 90s, 100 back in the 70s. That's when you died. If you died, people didn't even die of lung cancer as much, nothing. You died of old age. My grandmom smoked a pipe, died at 80 something years old. Just drank and rode it hard her whole life. But she was okay because she was eating the food she was designed to eat. So my people are from the British Isles. So to break this down to the ridiculously simple, so you can apply it to your life and you could die of old age instead of coding out at 65. It goes like this. If you trace your lineage back, it's very easy to do. I'll teach you how to do that real quick. I traced my lineage back 500 years. Those people ate ducks, cows, birds of all sorts, pigs, pig brains, from the hoof, everything. No parts of the animals were spared. Pigs, horses, whatever they could kill, they ate. Deer, that's what my people ate. So genetically, if I don't want to be fat, if I don't want full body inflammation, if I don't want a cloudy mind, if I don't want to go on Lexapro, if I don't want to go on Zoloft, if I don't want to have to use Xanax because I'm depressed, if I don't want to do any of that stuff, I better put the right fuel in the car, which means I better eat what my body was designed to eat. All right, so now I'm 53. I'm 240 again. I have 20-inch arms, 29-inch waist, 32-inch thighs. All right, that's me. If you see me in person, if you, I go to Crunch Fitness. People see me, beast mode, 100%, because of the diet I just taught you about, and because of the hormones being balanced. Now, the first things first. The diet is the number one thing. You could take all the GLP ones, which is the shots the doctor gives you to lose weight, all you like. You could spend, it's $500 a month. It's not cheap. You could spend all the money you like on that stuff. The moment you take that needle out of your leg, wherever you're shooting yourself up, you're going right back to where you started. Okay? You're going right back to where you started unless you fix the root of the problem, which is only eating the food that you were designed to eat. For example, if you're from 500 years ago, if your people are from Jamaica, you have to eat fish, fruit, vegetables. That's what those people ate. If I ate that, I would be 350 pounds again. So there is no one diet for the whole world. You understand? If you're from Africa, if you're from the interior of the Africa, then you're going to eat the same carnivore diet as I eat, because my people are from the interior of the British Isles. They didn't eat fish. But if you're from the coast, your diet's going to look more like the Jamaicans. It's going to be fish and vegetables. All right? Same thing. A perfect example is I grew up in Atlantic City, New Jersey. What a hole that was. I grew up there, but I was very lucky to grow up there because I grew up with a lot of ethnicity. The best Italian food, the best Chinese food, the best foods from all over the world, because the people would come there to work in the casinos. So I had home cooked Chinese when I dated the Chinese girl. I had home cooked Italian food when I dated Italian. I had all of it. So I know what the ethnic food, what really good ethnic food is, how it was made, how long the people were eating it. I was just really blessed that way of living that way. And I also was enlightened to the fact that what we see on TV and what we see in the restaurants doesn't coincide with the truth. For example, Chinese people don't eat rice. I don't know if you know this or not. They don't eat lo mein. They don't eat oodles of noodles. They don't eat any of that. If they do eat it, it's on the side. It's very small. It's a very small amount. Their diet consists of, in China, as a matter of fact, 25% meat, 75% vegetables. Okay? You're going through Whole Foods, for example. All right? Say you're Polish or you're Russian or you're German or you're Czechoslovak or it doesn't matter. You're from Eastern Europe. You see a dragon fruit in Whole Foods. First off, all of the food in Whole Foods is fake, but let's just say it wasn't. And you just go ahead and grab yourself a dragon fruit, and you're from Germany. Your body, just because somebody told you it was good for you, doesn't mean it is. Your body is not designed to eat dragon fruit because 500 years ago, your ancestors were not eating dragon fruit. Coconuts, for example. Coconut milk's great. Almond milk is great. Okay, it's great if your people are from Jamaica or Hawaii and they were drinking coconut milk 500 years ago. But if they weren't, you can't drink it. So, the rule, if you want to lose, I lost 97 pounds in 63 days. The rule is to only eat what your ancestors ate 500 years ago. That's the rule. That's the rule. You can then take the GLP-1s. This is my personal experience with this stuff. You could then take it, and the only thing the GLP-1 is going to do is it's going to wipe out the insulin levels in your blood, which is going to make you not hungry. And which is also, insulin has two jobs. Its first job is to tell your body, hey, you're no longer allowed to eat the fat that's stored on the body. You're not. So when you have an insulin spike, if you eat a half a bagel with modified enriched wheat gluten, which is illegal everywhere in the world except for here in Australia, all right, which, by the way, we have the highest cancer rate behind Australia. 47% us, 48% Australia. So modified enriched wheat gluten, if we eat that, right, half a bagel, we eat it, just one half, or a bowl of noodles at night, or some pasta, doesn't matter which kind, you buy it at the grocery store, enriched, modified wheat gluten is designed to spike your insulin level. You eat one meal and your insulin level is spiked for 2 weeks. This means you could fast for the next 3 days. You could, whatever you like, you could eat salads for the next 3 days. It doesn't matter. You will not lose 1 pound because your insulin level is spiked. Your body is shut down. So the GLP-1 shot simply undoes that. It allows you, it's like a pair of sneakers. It allows you to have bad posture and stay comfortable. Okay, that's all sneakers and shoes do. They allow you to walk with a hunched back, with bad posture, and stay comfortable. That's all shoes do. Take your shoes off, walk barefooted. You'll see it makes you lead with your 2 inches below your belly button. Your posture's like this. Your neck is fixed. Everything becomes unpinched, and you're out of pain. Okay, this is what I do for a living. I do this because it's my own experience. I've been shot twice, once through my side. That's why you see me always with a gun. I ain't getting shot again. Ain't gonna happen. If I do, I'm not the only one that's getting it. And and I have dealt a lot with pain, TMJ in my jaw, spinal stenosis. When I was a kid, I couldn't walk. I had braces on my legs. You name it, it's happened to me. Okay? Except for heart attack, which I'm not going to let happen to me, and I'm going to tell you why next. Because that's how my biological father passed away at 63. So I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to show you how to not allow that to happen and pay special attentions to me if you are someone who is up to date on your shots. That's all I can say about that. I don't want my account suspended. All right, so what you do to undo your insulin level, to reel it all the way back in without spending $500 a month on GLP-1s, is you simply go on the ancestral diet. And then whatever your ancestors ate, that is what you eat. It's just that simple. If you're designed to eat a Mediterranean diet, say you're from Italy, I'm so sorry to tell you, they didn't eat pasta or pizza. It's surrounded by water. They ate fish and vegetables. That's what they ate, man. You were conquered by the Moors. I don't know if the Moors are from the coast or if the Moors are from inland, so you also might be okay with a carnivore diet. It's just something you have to play with, how much Italian you got in you, for example. You just have to find out what your people were eating 500 years ago. A great way to start is to ask your mother if she's alive, or your great-grandma or grandmother if she's alive, and she'll tell you, my mother's mother used to cook this. You're going back 150 years in some cases. That's a great place to start. Even if you went back 150 years, genetically, those people ate better for your body type than you did. So it's not a blood test that tells you what you're supposed to eat. It is actually a lineage, what you're designed to eat. Think about that. Use logic and think about what I just said. All right? So insulin's second job is to deliver proteins to the muscle. That's its second job. So if you see a guy who's bigger than me, who's walking around, clearly he's on steroids. He's probably also shooting insulin, which just simply, insulin just simply carries proteins to the muscle and makes them full. Like I have 20-inch arms. I walk into the gym. There's a guy who goes there who makes me look like I've never worked out a day in my life. And the reason why is because he's taking steroids and he's also shooting insulin. So he doesn't have the weight problem. He's actually leveraged insulin to push more calories into his muscles is the easiest way I could put it. So, all right. So I gave you that key. Step number 1 for you to lose. I lost 97 pounds in 63 days. Here it is for free. Go on the ancestral diet. Eat what your grandmother ate 10 generations ago. You will immediately, full body inflammation will go away. Cloudy mind will go away. You won't need the Xanax. You won't need the Lexapro. You won't need the Prozac. You won't need any of it because it's like if you go to the gas station with a diesel truck and fill it with gasoline, it's not going to run. It's not designed to run on the gas, right? When you eat the wrong diet, like going vegan or going vegetarian, and you're from the British Isles where all they ate was meat, you're doing irreversible damage to your body. You're going to be diabetic, and the side effect of all being diabetic and not doing anything about it is death. Okay, so moving on. Now you know about the ancestral diet. Okay, that's step number 1 without spending a dime, and you'll find it's probably going to be, most of us are probably going to be on a carnivore-based diet. Carnivore-based diet. Again, there were no vegans or vegetarians 100 years ago. Nobody drank milk 100 years ago. Milk, vegetables only, and veganism, which is, I don't even know what, fake food, is simply something that had happened when there was great famine. When great famine swept the land and there was nothing to eat, people resorted to the ground, which is going to happen. You think about this. If the electricity went off, the only way you're going to eat is if you grab a shovel. Okay? Same thing. So there were no, these diets, the food table we know is BS. And we also know now that the veganism is less than 100 years old, and being a vegetarian is less than 100 years old. We know this. Okay? So now that I cleared that up for you, so to end that part of it, is if you're from Jamaica, for example, you got to find out what your people ate. It was probably fish and fruit and vegetables. You're from China, it's 25% meat. It's vegetables. It wasn't. The only people gorging themselves with rice and noodles are Americans. That's it. All right, so I just saved you $500 in GLP-1s. That's number 1. All right. I just saved you $500 in GLP-1s, which is the weight loss drug. I just cured your type 2 diabetes, if you're diabetic. All right, that's number 2. Chronic pain and inflammation. Within 3 weeks, you'll see it's gone if you're putting the right fuel in your body. All right, got it? This is the cure. This is not a treatment, which brings me to my next point. Once you lose all the weight, like when I lost all of my weight, I had extra skin. And I'm being my age, 53, your skin isn't as you don't snap back like when you were 20. And some of us at 20 still never snap back, right? We don't snap back at 20. Some of us. We get the muffin top with the extra fat. We get, the guys get the fat here. You get the fat behind the arms. you get the fat hanging off you, and there's nothing. It's just extra skin. So I went to the doctor. Doctor says you need surgery. So immediately, when a doctor tells me I need surgery and doesn't ask me about what I'm eating, I run out the door. And I said, okay, I got to look for something different. I don't want nobody cutting me. Got to be something different. All right. So I called. If you don't know me, I'm an ex-Blackwater agent. I worked for as a subcontractor for the U.S. government in the country of Colombia, and I was trained by Navy SEALs and also Army Rangers in a swamp in North Carolina, and also right outside of Denver, Colorado. Then I went to work down there, so I still stay in touch with these gentlemen. If they're still alive, most of them are gone, but I still stay in touch with a lot of them. And I asked them, is there some kind of any government secret that I can get that will tighten up my skin instead of me getting this surgery? And it came up kind of as a matter of fact. I didn't really call them about this. We were talking about other things, and they said I looked really good, and I looked really old. My face had really. I've had surgery on my face. This whole side of my face has been reconstructed. Blind in one eye. You can't really tell. You can see through my eyebrow is cut through. They couldn't fix that, but if you look at me close, I have a line down. So they did a good job, but they were like, "Oh, you look really, really good." So so I said to them, "Yeah, but I got this turkey gizzard thing right here, and I got extra skin on my arms I can't get rid of, and I I got an 8-pack of abs, and you can't see it because my skin's hanging off." So they enlightened me in this fact. So a peptide, I'm going to tell you what they are. A peptide is simply an amino acid that's branch chained. It's connected. It's a branch chain amino acid which your body made when you were a child. Okay? It grew you from a 6-year-old to an adult. It's the super fuel. It is what the body needs in order to grow, in order to make everything bigger, in order to regenerate damaged tissue or grow back damaged tissue like a torn rotator cuff. Okay? So this person said to me, look, the GOV is not going to, I can't even say that word because I'm on these platforms are just so sensitive now. The GOV will not spend millions of dollars on someone without protecting them using body protection compounds. I'm like, what the heck is a body protection compound? I had never even heard of it. And they were like, these are called peptides, but they're branch chain amino acids. I said, okay. So they came out, since the 90s, they've been giving people like Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, people who do high-risk jobs that they've spent a lot of money on that they can't afford to lose. They've been getting these treatments. And the reason why is because when they get damaged on duty or off duty, it doesn't matter, they repair twice as quick. They've figured out that if you take a peptide and put it in a 50-year-old man with a torn rotator cuff, the body heals itself. No more surgery. Which is why there's so many doctors coming out now who do surgeries who are telling you peptides or this, or there's so much controversy because doctors, I don't know if you know this or not, they have a $50,000 a month nut. They have a $20,000 a month mortgage. They have 2 G-Wagons, one for their boyfriend, one for their wife, whatever. They have $30,000 in credit card and miscellaneous debt, plus a $500,000 student loan. They have bills because they're trying to keep. They're trying to be they're miserable, so they buy expensive things. They find themselves with a $50,000 a month nut. Once they find themselves with that big, huge nut, you walk into one of their offices. A personal experience of mine was I tore my rotator cuff 20 years ago. I walked into a doctor's office 15 years ago, 17 years ago, and I said, hey, I got I have steel in me, so I can't get an MRI. I had to get this very painful dye shot in my shoulder, and they did this special X-ray. Anyway, I had a full tear, muscle tear in my shoulder right here. So he reads the report, not in front of me. He was a younger doctor. And I swear to you, this is a personal experience of mine. Okay, I had really good insurance at the time. Let me add this. He knew my thresholds on my insurance, and I swear to you, I could see him outside of the room. He had stepped out of the room to go get the report, and he was pacing in the hallway back and forth, and I'm like, what is this doctor doing? What's he doing? Right? Finally barges through the door, like barges through this door, and he goes, you need a full shoulder replacement. If you don't get a full shoulder replacement, you're not going to be able to use you're not going to be able to use your left arm in 10 years. So I said, all right, kid, because I was older than him. I'm 53. He looked like he was 20, late 20s, early 30s. I said, I'll see you in 10 years. Right? If I got 10 years left, I'll see you in 10. Why would I get that surgery now? That makes no sense. Right? I'm not doing that. So I swear to you, the sales pitch was to go and get me a shoulder replacement, which only lasts 10 years, by the way. When you have a shoulder replacement, or hip replacement, on average, it lasts 10 years and then it wears out. So that doctor could not tell me the truth, which is, hey, what are you eating? Are you on the right diet? If he would have said, are you eating what you're designed to eat? Right? And at the time, I didn't know any better because I didn't know anything about this stuff. That would have made sense to me if he would have said, hey, you're eating peanut butter and jelly and you're not designed to do that. You're only designed to eat red meat. That would have made sense, right? He didn't do any of that. He didn't say, have you gone to rehab? Have you done this? Have you done nothing? He went right for the kill. And then I started to understand it's because he would have gotten about $25,000 from that surgery, which in fact would pay his monthly nut. So doctors cannot tell you the truth. This is not the 90s or 2000s. This is 2026, where they have peptides that can heal you. Okay, if they're real, right, and if they are administered through prescription by a nurse practitioner, they have peptides that will, and this is what I use to tighten up my skin. Tighten up your skin, to go back to the root of the conversation. Tighten up your skin. Fix your baldness. What else? If you have chronic pain, protect you and boost your immune system from things that people get shots for. They have peptides that, when you combine them, can grow back muscle tissue, can fix someone who has myocarditis or a problem with their valves because they made a decision they thought was right, and they took some bad advice and they went and they took a shot. They have peptides where you go on them. So for example, I'll give you a perfect example. I take 2 combat classes per week, and I work out 2 full body workouts per week. I do 2 full body workouts per week, which takes me 2 hours each. And I do a combat class, which is 2 hours each, twice a week. So there's 8 hours, right? 16 hours, is that 16 hours, right? Of intense training. Intense training. I train with people who are 20, 30 years old. I trained the other night, and I'm not going to lie, it took me a while to recover, a couple days actually, but 4 hours in combat training. They were like, how? How did you just do that at your age? It's because of the body protection compounds and the diet I'm on. That is just gospel. Body protection compound. Listen to the words. Body protection compound. If you were the GOV and you were dumping $1 million into a Navy SEAL or Army Ranger and training them for a specific job, wouldn't you put a body protection compound in that soldier in order for them to walk through a crowd full of people that are sick with things like Ebola, things like just swine flu, things like, real problem, tuberculosis, things that have a 97%, 100% kill rate. This is what you would give these people, okay? Now, in the 90s, it was out of your reach. Now, it's not. They're cheap. They're cheap. And you can, and these we need because they've poisoned the water. They've poisoned the food. They've come right out and put it right on the package. Bioengineered food. This is not real food. You cannot sue anybody. You can't go back to them and say, hey, this bioengineered food gave my child cancer or gave me cancer, because they're going to say, yeah, well, we put on the package it's not real food and you ate it anyway. You got it? You understand? It's like buying a house without you get a home inspection. The home inspector says, hey, this house, it's been flooded and it's got a cracked foundation, and you buy it anyway, and then go back to the home inspector and go, yeah, I know you told me so, but I really wasn't listening. He's going to laugh you. He's going to hang up on you. And that's what they'll do to you when you get sick. So there's no recourse for you. So they made it abundantly clear that gone are the days of the presumption of safety and security in these United States. Gone are the days of the assumption of safety and security in the United States, and you are 100% responsible for your own safety and your own well-being, okay? Which is why we have the Second Amendment, and which is also why you're allowed to pick and choose the food that you eat, okay? So freedom of will in my belief system consists of what you wear, what you eat, and what you believe. Everything else is divine providence. Everything else is above you. You can't control it. Okay? But you can control what you eat. You can control what you wear. And you can control what you believe. All right? So, think about the words I'm saying to you. They're full of logic. They're full of just common sense. All right? So, that's part 2. Part 1 was I lost 97 pounds, my personal experience with the ancestral diet in 68 days, which left my skin hanging, which left me no other choice but to either get lipo and lose and whatever. I don't know how I would do that with my whole body, but just cut all the fat, cut all the extra skin off, or take peptides. So I chose peptides, and you can fake a lot of things, but you can't fake results. This is really me. All right, I don't look like a movie star, but I look great for my age. All right, got it? So, then after I lost the weight and my skin tightened back up, I kind of did it backwards because I'm a bit vain, I'll be honest. I kind of wanted my skin tightened up. It was driving me nuts. I looked 20 years older than I look right now. And my face is beat up because of combat school. I'll explain that to you after I'm done with this. But I get punched in the face a lot. So my face is a little tore up right now. My apologies. But usually I'm much more handsome and dashing than this. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, So I did it backwards. I should have, my next step, is there any certain brand of peptides? I'll go over that. Matter of fact, I'll give you, here's my, I always do this in my lives. So here's my personal phone number. Text me because I can't go over, there's hundreds of different peptides here. I'll just put it on every platform. There's hundreds, and I'm not a doctor. I can only give you my personal experience on peptides, GLP-1s, and hormone therapy. YouTube, my phone number is in the description. So it's 813-330-6801, 813-330-6801. Just text me, and I'll give you the lowdown. And I'll show you what I'm taking so you get an idea. So the next thing, I kind of did it backwards. I went peptides first when I should have went hormone balancing first. But I'll be honest, like I said, I'm kind of vain, and I wanted to start dating again, and I just wasn't comfortable with the way I looked. I just wasn't, and I was just like, dang, what am I gonna do? So I'm just being honest, man. I'm just being honest. I wanted to start dating again. It was time. But I wanted, to look good with no shirt on. You know what I mean? You understand. So, so I should have really did the hormone test first. And I kind of did, but I went and bought the peptides first instead of buying and balancing my hormones, which was against the nurse practitioner's wishes, because I had lost so much weight. I was like, oh, I got to get this extra skin off of me. It's disgusting, right? So here's what I did. I took a remote blood test, which they sent to my house. This is my personal experience. And I still deal with this nurse practitioner. I don't deal with doctors who take insurance. I'm going to tell you why in a second. It's so cheap, this program, that it's cheaper than your copay, to answer your question before you start. Right? So I took a remote blood test. They sent to my house. I went over, I took the blood test. I get a call back in a week. And the nurse practitioner says to me, your testosterone level is 300. Now, the nurse practitioners I deal with are all hormone specialists. That's what they are. If you go to your general practitioner because you just want to use your insurance, here's what's going to happen. They don't know. It's like going to a foot doctor if you have something in your eye, to be honest. They don't know how to read a hormone test. You assume because they're doctors they do, but they don't. A general practitioner knows a little bit about everything and maybe specializes in one thing, but does not know what a specialist knows. So again, you got a problem with your eye, you're not going to a foot doctor. You're not going to general. That's why they give you a referral to go to the correct doctor. So when you're talking hormones, you have to go to a hormone specialist. Or what's going to happen is if you try to use your insurance and go and insurance only pays for treatments, not cures. So here's the roadblock. Here's what's going to happen. Your general practitioner is going to look at your blood test and say, hey, you know what? Your blood works fine. You have a 300 testosterone level. That's the national average. That's not a man, that's a woman. But that's the national men's average is 300 testosterone level in the United States, which is hideous. It's supposed to be 1,000. All right, got it? So he's going to say, you got to lose some weight, which you can't unless your testosterone level's higher or you take GLP-1s. You got to, or you're on the correct diet. He's going to try to set you up He's going to tell you, look, if you go to LabQuest or LabCorp or whatever, any one of these, their tests all read different. So 300 here is 1,000 over at this other at LabCorp is LabQuest 300 is 1,000 over here at this other place. That's all a lie. What he or she really wants you to do is they're going to say to you, okay, we're going to make sure you're on the correct blood pressure medication. You are depressed, so we're going to put you on Zoloft. They're going to treat the symptom and not fix the problem. When if you would have went to the hormone specialist would have said the reason why you're depressed is because your estrogen level is 0, ma'am. Your estrogen level is 0. That's why you're moody. That's why you got heat flashes. That's why you don't want to have sex. That's why your husband, that's why there's a divorce. This is why you can't hold a relationship. You can't stand people. You can't stand life. This is it. The reason why is because the hormone specialist would have told you the truth. Your estrogen is off and your testosterone's too high. That's caused by the food. It's caused by the food. If you eat the wrong diet, and if you eat regular food in the United States, it's designed to turn a man into a woman and a woman into a man. That's what it's designed to do. It's give you health problems and designed to turn you into a patient. I'm not going to go conspiracy theory on you here, but I don't have to. Everybody knows somebody with cancer and everybody knows somebody who's overweight. I don't have to anymore. I don't have to do any of that. We all seen them in Walmart. 30-year-old person, they're so big, they got to use the car. The little, we all seen them. All right. And this is because they're on the wrong diet. They're insulin intolerant. Their hormones are all shut off and shut down. So step number 1, diet. Step number 2 for you has to be remote blood test. Remote blood test. They send it right to your house, no matter what state you're in. California, it doesn't matter. I'm in Tampa. In California, anywhere, any state. Send it to your house, remote blood test. The nurse practitioner gives you a call a week later and says, hey, like they did me, you have a 300 testosterone level. Now, let me tell you what happens to a man with a 300 testosterone level. And the doctors know this. A man with a 300 testosterone level is going to have a heart attack at 55 and die before he's 65. It is called a low testosterone is caused either genetically or mostly by diet because of the food. He's eating the wrong things. Okay, got it? That's what it is. Men today are not built like they were in the 70s. And that's a fact. And the reason why, the only common denominator is the food is shedding off their testosterone. Women today, it's somehow it became okay for a young lady to be 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight. I don't know how that happened. When I was in the 90s, in the 90s, when I was a young man, every woman I've seen was fit, except for, there was a few bigger girls, but, they were still pretty. They took care of themselves. I'm just saying, on an average. Now, everybody is heavy. And it's because they're eating the wrong foods. They go to the doctor gives them the shot. You can't afford 500 hours a month. You stop taking the shot. You go right back up to, you're 5'5" and you're 225 pounds. So what do? A woman, they spend 2,500 hours minimum a year on their hair, on their nails, on their makeup, and on their clothes. So a big woman, what she'll do is she'll go out and get her a hair done for $1,000, because that's not cheap. She'll go out and get her nails done and her toenails done, her lashes done. There's another, $350, right? she'll go out and she'll spend all this money, and then she'll put a saran wrap. You see them out. They just shouldn't be wearing what they're wearing. And the men, same thing. You guys are wearing things you should not be wearing. All right? And it's not your fault. It's because you can't lose the weight because you're being lied to. So step number 1 is the diet. Step number 2 is the remote blood test if you want to stop this craziness and stop guessing what's wrong with you. In this world, there's a lot of things that will end your life. So you want to make sure you keep small problems small. So 1 blood test per year is good advice. Very good advice. You take 1 remote blood test per year. The nurse practitioner calls you and says, hey, you need to get your hormones fixed. If you get your hormones fixed, you'll stay fit. You'll be like you were when you were 20. The reason why you could eat, drink, do whatever you like when you were 20 was because your hormones were in line. It wasn't because you were young. It's because your hormones were in line. You got it? Now, I'll tell you what I'm taking. This is what I take. I take, just so you know, I took the cures. So I don't have to take this stuff anymore. But right now, I microdose a half of cc of testosterone. I take HCG, which is made up from the placenta of a woman who just had a baby and the afterbirth. That's a whole story in itself. I'll tell you about it real quick. Woman has a baby. Somebody comes in, grabs the placenta, steals it from her. And the afterbirth. Woman says, what are you doing with my baby parts? The hospital employee says, oh, we're going to take it for research, run some tests, make sure your baby's okay. Everybody forgets about it. None of that is true. What they're really going to do is they're going to sell it to a compound. They're going to sell it to a compound pharmacy who's going to make fertility drugs and then sell that for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That drug from 1 placenta. That's a fact. That's what's really going to happen. So you just gave away all your baby, part of your baby, on a lie, theft by deception, right? I'm the scam king. Remember, that's who you're watching. If you subscribe to me, I pull out all the scams, which is why my Facebook page right now is suspended because they didn't like the fact that I told you that thousands of people are going missing in our jail system. Okay, in our jail system because of organ harvesting. That hit home, and they suspended my abilities on Facebook. FYI, this really happened. The page, if you want to see the video, it's on my Instagram page. Just telling you. So I'm the scam king, so I'm going to let you know on these things. This is why 39 million views per month I get on Instagram. This is why people follow me, because I spit truth all day. It's all I do. I'm retired. I don't have to do anything. When I'm not doing security and I'm not training, I'm doing nothing. Which is why I come on here and tell you about how I got better and how I lost weight. And I want you to do the same thing. I want you to follow me. I want unity is what I'm trying to say. I want unity and peace. I don't want to talk about negative things. I want to talk about how your life is going to get better. That makes me happy. That makes me, that's how I can serve you. So, no problem. So, anyway, I take HCG. And HCG, what it does is it turns your pituitary gland back on. Now, your pituitary gland's under attack from the toothpaste, the soda, I've heard it all. The food, it's calcified, so you can't find enlightenment. You know, all of it, right? HCG decalcifies the pituitary gland. And in men, it turns back your testicles on, so you make, HCG. I take 0.40 per week units. Nothing. It's insulin needle. If you went in to have a baby with your girl or your man, the doctor would say, "Hey, sir, you have a low sperm count. Come here." He would take a insulin needle out, put it in the fat of your stomach, and shoot you full of HCG, which is from the placenta of a baby. It would turn your pituitary gland back on. Your testicles would make sperm again, and boom, out comes a baby 9 months later. it's it's magic. It's magic, this stuff. So this is the cure for low T. So I don't need to take testosterone for the rest of my life. Instead, in fact, I simply take HCG, and HCG strengthens my body's ability to make testosterone. Also, in a woman, it strengthens her ability to make estrogen and balances out naturally your estrogen and testosterone levels. That's what it does. Okay? For men and women. So, again, if you need help with the remote blood test, and if you're on YouTube, it's my phone number is in the comments. But okay, there's my phone number. You want to inquire about HCG, you want to inquire about peptides, you want to inquire about hormone balancing, you want to inquire about diet, there's my number. Just text me. I'll give it to you for free. So, going back to it, HCG is the cure. It cuts fat off of women. It cuts fat off of men. There's no... Man, it's just an amazing drug. It's something that is a natural occurring substance in the human body, and when you reintroduce it into an adult, it does amazing things. And you want to talk about deep thought, you want to talk about unclouding your mind and enlightenment, you want to talk about spirituality. I got so deep in thought and at peace because HCG allowed me to reach. I am convinced that it helped me reach enlightenment. Really, can it help with energy? All right, so yes. In a short answer, both men and women. If you have no energy and you're sleepy, or you have just no energy, no interest in anything, nothing like that, it's because your hormones are off. That's all it is, man. Your hormones are off. Everything is hormonal. Everything is hormonal. I did a video. It's on my page today. All right. The guy walked up to me wearing a bra. And then I thought about it and turned my truck around and I said, I'm going to do a video about this guy. I'm going to find out exactly what he eats, because this gentleman was dressed like a woman. And I'm going to inquire how this happened. Was he born that way? I wasn't making fun of him. I don't care. It's not offensive to me. I think everybody's perfect. I think the world is not perfect. I think people are perfect, though. I think the world, everybody's born and they believe that they're going to change the world, but I think that everybody finds that the world changes them. So Mr. Kenny probably went through something that was traumatic, which caused him to, I was molested as a child too. We all have a story, but I chose not to go that way. Maybe this is just how he deals with it, whatever. So I wasn't making fun of him at all. I was asking him, hey man, what do you eat? And he's like, I eat McDonald's. I eat Burger King. I eat fast food 3 times a day. That's what I eat. I said, oh, now I understand. This is what low testosterone looks like. So everything here on planet Earth is chemical. Everything is chemical. Love is not magic. Neither is hatred. These are different sides of a spectrum that are controlled here on earth by chemicals. Your body, your mind, you are the chemist, and your body mixes the chemicals based on your thoughts. That's how it works. So if you hope for the best but prepare for the worst, you constantly have anxiety. This is how it works. If you hope for the best but prepare for the worst, you're ready for battle. This is how it works. Okay? You are the chemist. Your body prepares the chemicals based on thought. This is enlightenment. This is how enlightened people understand this life. Okay? So whatever trauma he's been through, that's how he deals with it. But clearly, if his body was loaded with testosterone, he wouldn't be wearing, unless he was an artist. Don't get me wrong. I've been to drag shows. It's an art. It's just art. These people are artists. I'm not judging them. And it's not offensive. They're making art. They're enjoying themselves. They're being who they truly came here to be. Right? They're artists. There's nothing wrong with that. If it goes against your belief system, I'm sorry. This is just my belief system, right? They're artists, So I wasn't making fun of him. All I was saying is if his hormones were where they need to be, I seriously doubt he'd be walking down Nebraska Avenue in Tampa wearing a dress. That's all I'm saying. I think maybe he would have went the same route I did if he was molested as a child like I was by a family member, and he would have maybe dealt with it in a different way. I just believe everything here is chemical. That's my that's my thought process. I mean, anger, chemical, love, chemical. It's a chemical reaction. Hatred, all these things, all of them. Everything is a chemical reaction based on your thought. Your body, chemistry-wise, mixes the chemicals to get you ready for the situation. So if you're constantly thinking about horrible things, your body's mixing the chemicals in order to get you ready for horrible things. If you're constantly thinking about the money that you do have, then what's going to happen is your body's going to mix the chemicals to get you more money. If you're constantly thinking about the money you don't have, your body's going to mix the chemicals to make you not have money. It's going to be super conscious. You're not going to know how it happens. It just happens. That's the way this world works. It's a physical world. We were given arms to lift things up. You can't get 20-inch arms unless you lift weights. You can't pray 20-inch arms into existence. You understand? No one believes in God more than me. I'm not making a joke. I'm telling you, you can't pray over plastic food like Chick-fil-A, right? And clean it. There are certain things that prayer is not designed for. It's a physical world. It's a place of action, right? Got it? So, all right. So here we are. Let me reel it all the way back in because I'm rambling. So we went over the diet, the ancestral diet. We went over the remote blood test that if you need, text me and I'll send you the information. If you get the remote blood test, you're going to get a call from a nurse practitioner a week later, and they're going to tell you what you need. So there's no more guessing. There's no more problems with your weight. You're not going to code out at 65 years old. You're going to live to an old age and die of old age. But you have to eat what you were designed to eat, and your hormones have to be where they need to be. And if you have something that's going on with you that's chronic pain, I'm telling you right now, I'll show you what I take. So when my shoulder acts up, because I had a full muscle tear. I had a full muscle tear, right? Under my trap, right here. I got it in a bicycle accident. I wish it was more exotic, but it's not. It's embarrassing. This is Body Protection Compound 157. That's what this is. All right? This body protection compound, right? This is the generic penendeca-arginate. That's what that is right there. All right, this is prescription only. Penendeca-arginate. I don't sell this. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just simply telling you this right here is penendeca-arginate, which is body protection compound 157. All right? They made body protection compound 157 illegal for a time. They also made HCG illegal for a time. And what they did was they had to bring it back because fertility clinics were going out of business. People were getting sued, and everything here is driven upon money. So now, let me tell you how bad it is. Let me tell you how bad it is. I was diagnosed with MS. I went to the doctor. I had TMJ in my jaw. I got a CAT scan of my head. Walked into the neurologist. Neurologist says, "Hey man, how long you have had MS?" I'm like, "I don't have MS." I didn't even know what it was. I was like, "I don't have MS." I knew of some kid that had multiple sclerosis when we were kids. He was in a wheelchair. That's all I know, right? But I knew nothing about it. So he says, "No, it's dormant, but you have it." Devastating, right? So no cure, no nothing like that. So I just took it. I had other problems. All right. So I had other problems. So I'm like, you know what, man? I'm just going to get in the best physical shape of my life. Because if this has no cure and I have to just live with it, I am going to get into the best physical shape of my life where I am going to look like when I take my shirt off, people are going to be like, dang, like that's what I want to look like. Because I just want to stay fit. It's my best defense is to boost my immune system and to stay fit because only the strong survive. Nothing's changed in this world, right? It's the truth. Only the strong survive. And he who has the biggest stick rules. That's the truth. Nothing's changed, no matter how evolved we get. That is a constant and that is true, right? So I took Tesmorlin, which is this peptide. So I took body protection compound 157, TB 500, and also Tesmorlin. Tesmorlin, which is, trying to find the name. Yeah. So the name is right under my finger. Tesmorlin. It's right under my finger. The name. Tesmorlin. Right under my finger. So I took body protection compound 157, which is penendeca-arginate, Tesmorlin, and TB 500. I took those compounds for 1 year. I went back to a neurologist, and the neurologist, I said, you know, because after you're diagnosed with MS, you have to see it's dormant. Or I was shaking a little bit. I didn't know why. I thought it was because of the workouts. And I was cursing an awful lot. I didn't know why I was cursing an awful lot. I curse anyway because I'm from Atlantic City. It's just how we talk, right? Went back to another doctor. Doctor says, "Oh, you look fine." I go, "Oh, okay, cool. Is the MS still dormant?" He goes, "You don't have MS." So I'm not telling you. That's my dog. I'm not telling you that those 3 drug combinations over the last year cured me. I'm just telling you I no longer have MS. That's what I'm telling you. And if I had to guess, it was back on the ancestral diet, which saves. I spend $130 a week on food. I eat 2 pounds of red meat a day. I eat 7 or 8 sweet potatoes a week. It's about all I eat. It's a lot of food. It's all I eat. It's $130 a week. to eat the best of the best of the best of the best foods available. So if I had to guess, it would be the diet along with the peptides, along with my hormones being straightened out, which boosted my immune system, which, like I told you the story about the Navy SEALs and the Army Rangers, how they get protected by the GOV. When millions of dollars are dumped into them for training, they're not going to let them fall victim to what they would the people of the Republic. They're going to simply protect them. Hence the words body protection compounds. All right, so if you want those, text me and I'll point you in the right direction. And if I'm 53, like I said, and I'm strong. I'm as strong as 3 guys. I am. If you see me at Crunch Fitness in Channelside in Tampa, you'll see. You will realize how strong I am. I'm not saying that because I'm macho or any of that. I am stating fact. I just landed on the ground as a general, and these are the conditions that I currently find myself in. I'm as strong as 3 guys. I take 2 weapons classes per week, which is Aikido Karate. So there's 4 hours there and another 4 hours in the gym a week. That's 8 hours, excuse me. So I spend 8 hours of crazy training per week, intense training it's just something that I do. It's my job. If you look my name up on LinkedIn, I'm still for hire for security. You can look it up. It's there. It's right on LinkedIn. $1,350 an hour if you need somebody to protect you. So there's that. So that was the whole live. I just wanted to pass that forward. And there's no money to be made here. People. I got 39 million views a month on Instagram. If you guys watch my videos, I expose scams. But I'll tell you what, man. What's coming out of my mouth is real when I have an account that's 15 years old. It's never had a flag on it. Never. I've never had a flag on it. Never had a problem. I did a video on there's 4,000 people that die in the federal prison system, in the prison system, state and federal, per year that they admit. 4,000. In this video, I stated a fact that a lot of these people go missing and the bodies are never recovered, and other people go missing and their bodies are never recovered. And I am not saying this is fact. It is my opinion. You can only harvest organs from live people. And what better person to harvest an organ from than a 30-year-old kid who got a life bid? And that's all I said in the video. And if you think about it, you can research it. So many families said, you have no idea how right you are. They said I was going to die, that I friggin', they're going to come get me because of this video. I did that video as a follow-up to the video I did when I found out that Uber drivers and DoorDash drivers who deliver your food to your house, or go and they do that Instacart or whatever that thing is where they bring your food to your house when you order from a grocery store, they use the same minivan that's to transport deceased people from the morgue to the crematorium, from the funeral parlor to the crematorium. Same exact vehicle, unrefrigerated. To me, that is hideous and appalling. So I did that video, which is true, and I did prove that, and because it's on video, right? And the guy told me, yeah, I drive for Uber, right? So did that video, and then I'm like, okay, Mayo Clinic does hundreds of millions of dollars a year, $1 billion business of harvested organ transplants. Where are these organs coming from? There's not that many people dying from car accidents. Only 150,000 people die per day worldwide. Where are all these organs that Mayo Clinic is getting to transplant? Which led me to the prison system. I do the video. The moment I do the video, it goes viral, and then Facebook said, nope, we're shutting you down. So my 15-year-old Facebook account, so I had 6 million followers at one point. I did. Hi. I had 6 million followers. Those accounts got suspended. I reopened these accounts, and now these accounts, my Facebook account is in jeopardy, so you won't see me posting there much, except for me and Buddha. Yeah, it's my PTSD dog. Me and Buddha doing stuff together. But you're gonna have to follow me over to YouTube to see my longer content. You're gonna have to follow me over to YouTube to see this content, because apparently it's true, and I have it tagged satire. So if I have it tagged satire, it's not like people are fact checking me. I'm approaching things as like, I'm approaching things on as if I'm like Saturday Night Live, where I'm making fun of something that's real, right? My YouTube page is the same as this page. It's my name, Scott Lubick. So it's at Scott Lubick. It's my real name. Yeah. So it's YouTube, Scott Lubick. So the same thing. So it's YouTube. So to see my content, if Facebook gets rid of me, which I think is going to be the case eventually, you're gonna have to follow me to YouTube. And then when they suspend me fully, at least you're going to have the knowledge passed to you, so you can pass it forward as well. I mean, it's really a lot of it. Listen, I do satire, so you're gonna see one video and it's gonna be total BS. You're gonna see me spraying CRC on a toilet seat, telling you it gets rid of constipation. Then the next thing that you're gonna see is me doing a video on 5G small cells that are placed too close to a transformer, that are giving whole families in neighborhoods headaches, and cats are dying and birds are dying. So there's serious stuff mixed in with satire. So don't be offended when you see a video of a 16-foot alligator eats man on a kayak, and then it's satire. It never happens. I would never show that, number one, on my page. I wouldn't do that to somebody. Number two, it's satire. So there's that. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Anybody got any questions for me at all? Any questions whatsoever? Can you please follow me over to YouTube? Can you please follow me over to YouTube? I have a question for the masses. All right, so right now, I don't know, there's a couple hundred people watching me, right? Here's my question. What could I offer you that you would say, shut up and take my money? What could I offer you that you would just say, shut up and take my money? Thank you for your information. I will follow you on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that. I truly do. But what could I offer you that you would just say, hey, shut up and just take my money? And that's something I want you to think about, because I don't know. It'd be peptides, right? Shut up. Bitcoin for $100? Yeah, dude. Listen, I I lost $7,500. Now, um, if you're on TikTok, so you know, I still own a lot of XRP, a lot of XRP. You guys don't understand the nature of what's going on if you've sold your XRP, and it's okay, it's all right. It's just your opinion against mine, but I purchased $7,500 worth of crypto based on the words coming out of somebody who is president, that person's son, and lost $7,500. Right? There's got to be some recourse there, because I know if I told you about a stock that or crypto or any of this that was good, and then they rug pulled me. Like, let me give you a perfect example. So the it's not a stock yet. This is an IPO, right, for SpaceX. This is how they operate. So I've guarded a lot of billionaires. Billionaires don't care about you. They care about their money. Let me say it again. People have what they care about most. Billionaires care about money. They don't care about you. They may, but it's way back there, way behind their money. You have in your life what you care about most, in most cases, not all, in most cases. Some of us got served a rough deck of cards, and I'm not trying to blanket that statement across the world. So, billionaires, I'll give you a perfect example of what happened, why people still get, for example, chemotherapy when they get cancer instead of exploring other routes like getting like stem cell, for example. I'll just give you an example. So everything is driven monetarily. Money drives every decision. Money is the deciding factor in everything, right? Billionaires operate. So you take SpaceX's IPO. They immediately come out and say, wow, all these people who work in hospital cafeterias and school cafeterias, they're all so wealthy now because of this IPO. Well, let me tell you the rug pull. Let me tell you the scam. Before I tell you this, I'm going to just add this. Not just ours, but all GOV was founded by criminals and is ran by criminals. Let me say it again. Not just ours, but all GOV was founded by criminals and is ran by criminals. All law was written by criminals for criminals. Okay, got it? So somehow they take over a country by force, by killing, murdering, raping, and theft. And then somehow, in a generation or two, they become the good guys. They become the good guys. Somehow, now they're the good guys. And they set forth these laws and all of these moral standards for society. So the people who just committed genocide are now the good guys. Somehow they became good. And they hire armed guard to keep the population at bay, which is the po-po. I can't say that word either. Got it? And those people, the problem with that is this whole situation is that mindset change, mind control, and controlling of the masses doesn't happen immediately. It happens over generations. So the people who literally run this country stole it. The people who made all of the law made it for themselves. And they don't care about you. They care about their money. Everything has always been money driven. And then they hire armed guard, which are the police, to enforce their illegal activity. And the rope-a-dope is the poor police, who are mostly good, hardworking people, think they're doing a good job, think they're upholding the law, when the law is really just enforcing criminal activity. Judges, everybody, the jail system, all of it is all illegal criminal activity. I worked for them. I know. I'm telling you. They have rope-a-doped everybody, and something that happens in my 53 years, 20 years ago, if you would have told me this, that, and the third is going to be normal in 2026, I would have said, you have a learning disability. You are crazy. I would have never thought in a million years that it was true. But it is. So I'm not a political person. I haven't voted in 17 years. I don't pay taxes. I don't feed into any of that system. None of it. I don't want anything to do with it. Okay? If you also don't want to pay taxes, subscribe to my page, because those videos are on my page too. Legally not pay taxes. Like, not Wesley Snipes not pay taxes, but legally not pay taxes. I show you how the billionaires don't pay taxes. But I'm telling you this because it ties all the way back into the diet, which is the topic of this live. Is you take the SpaceX IPO, and these people working in normal working class people are now supposed to be multi-billion millionaires because of it. What they don't understand is, like the coin that that the person who well, let me put it this way. I gotta word this delicately, because these platforms are all now really, really sensitive. They have them tuned up. You say the wrong thing, forget it. This IPO that is for SpaceX, the people who created this pyramid scheme called SpaceX, because that's all it is, are going to sell their shares before you're allowed to. So the lunch lady, who they're saying is a millionaire because of SpaceX, by the time she's allowed to sell her shares, it's going to be worthless. This is what history shows us with all of these IPOs designed as pyramid scams by these billionaires. Okay? This is exactly how it works. All right? So these are people, you're talking about the same people who unleashed syphilis in the 60s on the American public. That's a true story. Who unleashed long Lyme's disease on the people of Lymes, Connecticut, who's now spread United States wide. And if you get long Lyme's disease, it has shortened your life. There's no cure. So these are people you cannot trust. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because through mandate and through protocol, the GOV owns every farm, every business. They own Apple, they own Microsoft, they own SpaceX, they own Tesla, they own every hospital, they own every ambulance service, they own every college, they own everything that gives you continued education, they own every farm, they own every seed factory, every lumber factory, every business, all the way down to the landscaping business, through mandate and through protocol. Mandate is law, protocols, a set of rules you have to follow, because if you don't follow those rules, you're out of business. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm a business owner and somebody gives me rules to follow, I don't own that business. They do. So they got you busy looking at other places saying that these are communists and this, that, and the third. And I'm not a political person. I could care less what you think. And you should probably do the same to me. But I'm just saying to you, the problem's right here at home. It's the system. The system is just so corrupt, and it's aimed right at your body. It's aimed right at your body as the number one commodity. Nothing's changed. They have money. It's fake. They print it. It's not all about money. It's about control. It's about power, which leads you all the way back to the Slavic word. The word Slavic means slave. My people were slaves by the Viking word for slave is Slavic. It's much older than the American version. Slavic. You got it? It goes all the way back to Slavicism. Nothing's changed. So that's it. That's why people follow me. 39 million views a month. Thank you very much. And I'll give you my phone number one more time if you want to get that remote blood test going. But please, if you never hear from me again, I didn't do it. I love being me. I think there's going to be some repercussions on that last video I did. I just have a feeling, a very bad feeling about that. But I'm ready, so whatever. But follow me over to YouTube. And you're gonna see some things that you just can't see unless you have a security background. And they'll keep your family alive. They'll keep your kids from getting cancer. I'm gonna continue to bring you these life-saving miracle drugs. I shot, for example, Penendec in my shoulder last night because it was aching me. It aches me every once in a while because I such heavy training I do. But what happened was the moment I shot it in, 15 minutes later, pain was gone, and it's still gone. So it's my personal experience that these things work. I know they do. So if you text me, if you never see me again, follow that ancestral diet and, get that one blood test a year. Don't give it to your practitioner, your general practitioner. Please give it to a hormone specialist and get your hormones checked out. If you have low testosterone, your least of your problems is the sexual side of that, how you perform in bed. The other side of that same low T problem is having a heart attack and coding out at 65 instead of living to be 120. All right? This is, if you're a woman and you have no estrogen, besides the weight gain, the heart problems, same as men, you're going to get old quick. You're going to start looking like your mom. And that's something I know you don't want to do. All right? So hormones always win. Keep them level. That'll keep your immune system level, so it doesn't matter what. If your shots are up to speed, if you know what I mean, if your shots are up to speed, if your immune system is super high, and if your hormones are super high, your chances of fighting off something like cancer or fighting off something like anything are much higher. All right, so that's it. That's the whole life. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's a lot of people still watching, but I'm starving. I got to go eat something, and I got to go and fight 3 guys at the same time. Oh, Aikido karate. Who wants to know about Aikido karate? It's my new. It's really. It's something that I explored prior. I'm a trained guy, so I've taken a lot of combat training, and they've used Aikido karate within the combat training. But now here, I'll give you my number again if you want to. You're welcome. You don't have to thank me, man. Just take care of yourself. Aikido karate, just so you know, is for people who have figured out karate. It's for the masters who said, oh, wait a second, we can do this instead, and this is is better to decline to fight. When you decline to fight in Aikido karate, you put the person attacking you in such a bad position that it's very easy to end them. It's amazing to me that I've been in, I think, 98 fist fights in my life. My nose is fake. Just so you know, I didn't look like this. Nose is fake, side of my face blown off, blind in one eye, just everything fake, right? That's why I'm so pretty. And it's from a trash can, blew up, BBs everywhere, and I'm gonna tell you, I literally, this art form of Aikido karate, I'm not good at it, because I'm so used to fighting linear. And I fought a 110-pound woman who threw me around the dojo like I was. It's not when you're in the. Okay, let me rephrase this. It's MMA is you're fighting another person, so you're standing in front of them and you're fighting them, right? Mortal Kombat, that's what that is. MMA is Mortal Kombat, right? Karate, you go to a Taekwondo tournament, it's Mortal Kombat, right? Any of it. Jiu-Jitsu, Mortal Kombat. Aikido is declining to fight. The difference is when you decline to fight, you're throwing your opponent, no matter what they know, off balance. There's no way to defend against Aikido karate. It doesn't matter what art forms you know, because you always stay you always stay out of reach. It doesn't matter if you can see a guy kick, 2 stories high. You're always out of reach. You're never in a position where they can hit you. You decline to fight. So when I go like this and I lean in and then I lean back out, that person has now either thrown a punch or thrown a, yes, Steven Seagal style, but his is more theatrical. Mine is more like the art that I study. The reason why I'm studying it is for a different reason than most people. I study it. So, for example, when I go like this, I lean in and I lean back out, and then the person throws a punch or throws a kick, and I go like this, and I grab that person's arm, right? Immediately, I sweep my feet out, and then once I sweep my feet out, that person is no longer on their base. Most of the moves that you see in the John Wick movies are, you don't do the whole movement. So in combat, right? So to give you history on me, I guarded coke fields for the CIA in the 1990s. That was my job. I worked for Blackwater, but it wasn't Blackwater back then. It was before then. 1997, Blackwater USA was formed. I worked for them for a bit, and then it was Blackwater International. And prior to that, same guys, I worked as a subcontractor in Colombia. That's what my job was. So what happened was the CIA and all these 3-letter agencies make these deals with these cartels, right? This is what happens. They make a deal with one cartel, but then they can't send U.S. soldiers in to guard the coke fields for that one cartel. They have to send in a merc, somebody who is completely, they can complete plausible deniability, completely deny that these people even exist. So my job, Blackwater actually means not legal, not illegal, but kind of gray, on the gray line. That's what Blackwater means. So my job was to guard coke fields for the CIA, for a cartel, which I married into, by the way, which is why my kids are Colombian, for a cartel against other cartels. So the other cartels wouldn't come and steal the product. Well, at 22 or 23 years old, I found myself walking down a dirt path, shot in both legs, through my side, and half my face missing. And I found there's no hospitals, so I found myself in a makeshift triage, who patched me up and got me back to where I am. But believe me when I tell you, when I got shot, I fell and I hurt my back, and there was just nothing good. So yeah, I've been through it. That's my history. That's how I can give you all this security. When you follow me and you see those videos, that's how I can see this stuff and you can't. Is because I've been around it basically my whole life. Can you get me a job? I can't get me a job. So what? I didn't finish the story. So if you're older and you know the story of Blackwater, Blackwater got in trouble for genocide in another country. They literally got accused of doing some really evil shit. And anybody who worked for that company got blacklisted by the US government, put on a terrorist watch list, and lost their passport. I wasn't even in the same country, which is why you see me going on cruises all the time instead of flying to places with my ex-wife, because I don't have a passport. True story. So that's how I know how these billionaires operate and everything else like that, because I guarded them. I'm actually from Atlantic City, so I was there multiple times when Trump Taj Mahal, when he was there, and walking through, I was one of the guards a couple times, guarded him. So interesting, right? Really interesting. Yeah, the money's gone. The money's gone. Same story. So, but that's why people follow me, man. That's why, I just, I don't know if I'm the man, but yeah, I've been through some stuff, and people like my content. They really do. I mean, I got some loyal followers. It's just a shame. I feel in my heart like these social media platforms really want to see just people fighting on cruise ships of the other skin. That's what they want. They want division. They don't want unity. They want to see drama, and they want to see people fighting of the other skin on cruise ships to make that group of people look bad. And they also want, instead of, because everybody fights on cruise ships. I've been on cruise ships where people of my skin have gotten into fights, big ones. I didn't see that on social media, but some kids get into a fight on a cruise ship, and it's all over social media. And it gets a lot of plays on social media because that's by design. It's designed to separate us. That's what the content they want. They want that. They want dancing. They don't want you to know anything. Remember what it says in Genesis 3. Genesis 3 says, right? Ready? God says, you can eat off of any tree. This is the fake God. You can eat off of any tree that you want, except for the tree of knowledge. If you eat from that tree of knowledge, you shall surely die. Nothing's changed. The fake gods don't want you eating off of the tree of knowledge. It was a lie. Obviously, at the end of Genesis 3. I went to seminary. I was a priest. If you follow me, you know this. At the end of Genesis 3, the Elohim, the fake gods, turn around and say, behold, man has become like one of us and knows the difference between good and evil. All he has to do is press forth his hand and reach for the tree of life, and he shall live forever. That's what it says. Nothing's changed. You're not allowed to eat off of the tree of knowledge. You're not allowed to have knowledge. This is metaphorical for everything. You need to be kept dumb. You need to be kept in the dark. You need to be kept loaded down with bills and eating fake food and sick and in the hospitals and under their thumb, which is why I really took it hard when this last account got suspended. I thought that me exposing prison system, people disappearing, lifers disappearing in the prison system, was something that everybody would want to know about. I didn't know they would suspend my account for that. And it must be true. It must be true. Or why would you suspend my account? I mean, I've been on the phone with these people, and this is coming to a bank near you, by the way. Just so you know, AI has the last say, and no human being can override AI at Meta. That's what I was told. And I pay $290 a month for to be a premier member of Meta. So I have Meta support. And I was told by their premium support team that no human being that works for Meta can override AI. Who is the genius who created that? Did anybody else see Terminator? I mean, you got no human beings that can override AI now on Meta, who owns, listen, ready? Google owns information. Meta owns your attention. That's why they're getting sued for $2 trillion for the kids growing up, and they say they don't know the difference between Meta and reality. They're getting sued for $2 trillion, and they don't know the difference. And so you turn around and you put AI ahead of all the humans. You can't even override it. I mean, am I the only one that saw Terminator? Right? That was my livelihood. I made my money that way. That cost me thousands of dollars. What really happened was, yeah, it was a fake account that triggered something and then turned around, and then they saw that video and they said, no, that goes against our terms and conditions. You definitely can't do that. That and they took it down. So I know exactly what it was. I triggered some real things. Mayo Clinic can't do billions of dollars of organ transplants, right? Billions of dollars can't do millions of organ transplants per year when only 150,000 people die per day in the world. You understand? The math ain't mathin'. So if 150,000 people die per day in the world, that's something like 150,000, was it 750 million people die per year in the world, right? If Mayo Clinic, just Mayo Clinic, is doing millions of transplants per year, where's the organs coming from? It's a good question. And the answer is, they're coming from the prison system, because the lifers are going missing. These are 30-year-old kids that got a life bid. Judge, remember what I told you. All GOV is ran by criminals, for criminals. The judge is the head enforcer. He knows when he sentences that 30-year-old kid to life, that kid is going to wind up being an organ donor, and he's not even going to know it. No one's even thinking of this stuff except for me, apparently. So Judge sentences him to a life sentence. 30-year-old kid, doesn't matter what skin. He goes in, he gets no family. They ask you got family? No, I got no family. No family. So nobody's going to ask any questions? Okay, no family. This one's got no family. He's going to go, that kid disappears. You can't get organs to harvest for Mayo Clinic or any clinic, unless you get them from live people. Organs are not harvested from dead bodies. Their organs, they are given from a live body. So they put that person, a mask on that person, right? They put them under, they take their organs out, and then they dose them. That's exactly the process. So I uncovered that on my page, which is why I'm suspended now on Facebook. So that was my livelihood. So I'll give you my cash app. No, I'm just kidding. I have money. I'm okay. So anyway, yeah, we all saw Terminator. They are following the blueprint. Okay. So people ask me all the time, why are you not a priest? What happened, right? Besides me loving women. That in itself. I mean, it was one lady of the night. Where's the forgiveness? Where's the grace, right? Jeez. Like I'm the first priest to fall off the wagon. God. God forgives, the church doesn't, by the way. Just so you know. But long story short, I'm not a priest because I asked two questions, but the other question that was funny. It's true though. It's so true. It's so true. I asked two questions. The first question I asked, I'm not going to go over because I don't want to challenge anybody's faith. So no one believes in God more than me. And the New Testament is the most important book that was ever written. I'm telling you right now, every word, if you know how to read it, which you don't, you have to have the key to read it. If you know how to read it, it teaches everybody who's not Hebrew ancient magic called Kabbalah, okay? Which is what Jesus used to heal the sick, feed the poor, and so on and so forth. That's a different story though. But going back to it, people ask me all the time, how come you're not a priest? How come you're not a priest? I'm not a priest because, Buddha, what are you doing? It's my PTSD dog. I have a PTSD dog. I'm not a priest because I asked one question and no one can answer it. You want to know what the question is? I'll give you the question right now if you want to know. All right. If your faith isn't strong enough, please leave now. Ready? If the New Testament was written to introduce the Savior to the world, if the New Testament was written to introduce to the Hebrew people their Savior, their own kind, it was a book that was written by a different people to introduce to the Hebrew people their Savior. We've all been taught this, right? We've all been taught this. If that's true, and Jesus is the Savior of the world, and the book was written to introduce the Savior of the world to the Hebrew people, I have one question, and no one can answer this. It went all the way up to one of the top cardinals, to the Pope. Here it is. Why wasn't it ever written in Hebrew so that people could read it? I have a 163 IQ. That's what my IQ is. I cannot spell. I'm a specific type of spectrum learner, but things like that, which made me a really good operator, things like that, if you can't answer me a simple question of if the New Testament was written to complete the Torah, which is the Old Testament, and deliver to the Hebrew people their Savior, why wasn't it ever written in Hebrew? Why was it only written in Greek? It's a good question, right? Here's the answer. The answer to this is, why do you think it was written then? Okay, here's the reason why it was written. The reason why it was written was because the 1600 years ago, when the Quran and the New Testament was written, tribes of the world would get together in places like the Library of Alexandria. They would get together and they would exchange literature, poetry, medicine, combat, weapons, fighting styles, medicines, spices, and they would exchange religion, and their wise men would get together and exchange all of these ideas about God, right? Well, a congregation of Hebrew rabbi came to one of these meetings 1600 years ago, 1700 years ago, and he or they told the secrets of the Torah to a Greek philosopher, to the Greek historians, to the Greek poets, to the Greek holy men. And when they did, the Greeks simply wrote and finished for the rest of the world the New Testament and wrote it in Greek. That's why it was never written in Hebrew. It was never for the Hebrew people. It was never designed. Think about this. Why would Greek people write a book to deliver a Messiah to a different group of people? Think about this using logic. And never write it in their language. Why would it be written in Greek? For the same reason why the Torah wasn't written by the Hebrew people. It wasn't. It's from ancient Egypt. The 5 books of Moses weren't written by Moses or any Hebrew person. 5 books of Moses are ancient books from Mesopotamia, and 36,000 year ago or longer, 250,000 year ago, Egypt. Okay, that's the 5 books of Moses were copied for the Hebrew people when they were slaves. Hold on, buddy. Were copied for the Hebrew people when they were slaves. That's what the 5 books of Moses were. They were copied. Ancient text was copied for the Hebrew people. Okay, and then the Greeks copied that Hebrew text, which was written in numerology. That's why you can't read it. Now, isn't it interesting? The only 2 languages, I think there's 3, but the only 2 languages that I know of in the world that are also, each letter is a number, is Greek and Hebrew. Isn't that interesting? So, the Torah is written in numerology for the Hebrew people, passed down from generation to generation. It's called Kabbalah. It means to receive, right? It was given from father to son, mother to daughter. And if you would have subscribed to me on Facebook, I teach it. All right? You can't now because I suspended my account, but I teach it, Kabbalah. I practice Kabbalah. And it's written, it's never written in a book, but it is the ancient, it's the reason why the Kabbalistic people run the world. Just so you know, China's Kabbalistic, Russia's Kabbalistic, Hebrew people nation is Kabbalistic. Most of the Pan-Pacific are Kabbalistic, unless they were converted over to Islam or Christianity. Today's Christianity, the reason why I'm not a priest is because they've deified Jesus instead of telling you the truth about the book. And they did it once again to gatekeep. Okay, and that's the truth. Listen, Mission accomplished if you believe that you're perfect and you've laid all of your sins down and you're saved through the blood of Christ. Mission accomplished. You will not be reincarnated back here, go to hell, whatever your belief system is. Okay? You are saved. Mission accomplished if you believe you're perfect through the blood of Christ. Total mission accomplished. But a deeper understanding of that is to say that you are the Christ. You could read John 17. It tells you that if you know how to read it. It says, Father, I not only pray for the ones sanctified in the truth, I pray for the ones that believe with their words, that they be one in us. That is telling us, if you read the whole chapter, that on the cross of Calvary, it was finished. You've become one with God, which means you are God. Got it? Understand? That's why I'm not a priest. That doesn't really go with Catholicism, does it? I love the church. It's just not for me. It just, I guess, I don't know. I have this, I believe nothing. You have to prove it to me. So, anyway, my dog's making noise. I'm going to go. I love you guys. Here's my number one more time. He wants to go outside. Text me if you want that blood test information. All right. If you want that blood test information, here's my number. Text me, please, and I will give it to you. And again, follow me to YouTube. It's the same name. And I promise you, you're going to get some content that you can't get anywhere else until YouTube decides to suspend me. All right? So that's it. And then when they do, I'll just wait a couple months and just get new accounts. But until then, I love you. It's very, very nice seeing you. I love you dearly. I got you before I got my bail. Okay? Believe that. All right? So I'll see you guys. I go live every day now. I have no other choice. I can't post on Facebook anymore. So I'm going to go live. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, I guess. All right? 10 o'clock. Tomorrow, Saturday, 10 a.m. I got something special for you. All right? I'll talk to you later. So we'll do TikTok, you first, and now. All right? I don't know what any of that means on TikTok. I have to ask some kids. YouTube, love you to death.